Greetings my dears in love and light. Using the pendulum, and does it really work? Now, a lot of people just dismiss the pendulum and forms of divination like it because they think, well, it doesn't really work, it can't really be real. And when I say a form of divination, I mean that's a means of communicating with discarnate entities, just entities on the other side, higher self, spirit guides, things like that. But what I really believe the pendulum is for is more to do with communicating with the subconscious mind. And that's why you're not really moving the pendulum yourself, your subconscious mind is doing it. Now, a lot of my videos are all about getting to grips with your subconscious mind, getting in touch with your subconscious mind, helping to cleanse it. A lot is stored in your subconscious mind that you don't readily access. Your conscious mind is in the driving seat, and your subconscious mind holds all your memories and automatic reactions and emotions and the way you perceive things and how you deal with things. But your conscious mind is the everyday processing mind. It sees what's going on and makes decisions right now and takes action according to what the subconscious mind gives it in terms of information and emotion and wants and needs and things like that. So the pendulum can be used as a means of communicating with your subconscious mind a bit better and really getting, through a physical means of communication, some ideas out of the subconscious mind. So just introducing you to the pendulum. This is my pendulum. Here it is. It's an amethyst one. So the thing about a pendulum, it mustn't be too heavy, it mustn't be too light. So you've got to get a good sort of swing on it without too much resistance, it being too heavy, or if it's too light, again, it's not going to work so well. So one like this is good. However, you can use a necklace or anything on a piece of string. A chain is good, just generally for the weight of it. This didn't cost very much, just a few pounds or a few dollars or whatever. I've had this a long time, so I tend to use this one, even though it's just a cheap one. Now, a good thing to do is, because I've had it for such a long time, I know that it's well charged with my energy. It's like a part of you. It's like anything you own. You feel like it's yours and you've had it a while. It's because your energies are written onto it. It's written into it. It's covered in you, in your energetic signature. So therefore, it's more easily able to react to your own subconscious mind because it's on the same frequency, it's already tuned into you. So when you buy a new pendulum, it takes time for it to become aligned with your energies. So you sit with it and hold it and fiddle about with it, and over time, it doesn't take too long, it'll really feel like yours, and then it'll work better for you. Okay, so it takes time to get used to using the pendulum. It doesn't take very long to learn, but it takes time to get the hang of it. And the reason for that is the subconscious mind takes some time to get used to the process. It's like anything. The subconscious mind is programmed through repetition, and just like riding a bike, it needs to get used to the process and then it just does it and you don't have to think about it. Same with driving a car. It can take a good while to learn. I know it took me ages. It takes a good while to learn, and once you get the hang of it, you don't have to think about it anymore. You just do it. Now it's the same with this. It needs to be a process that is inputted into the subconscious mind, so you don't have to think about doing it. Now, when a lot of people, they pick up a pendulum, they're consciously thinking about how it's going to move. See, it mustn't be a conscious action. You almost have to zone out while you're doing it. While holding the intention and your question in your mind, you need to zone out from what's going on, because you can't be sitting here thinking, which way is it going to move? What's my hand going to do? How is it moving it? Is it going to move now? These are all conscious processes. It's almost like meditation. You just sort of zone out and just let the subconscious mind do it without any interference. Without the conscious mind putting anything onto the process, the subconscious mind just does things like the walking, the driving, the swimming, and all the other things, all the other subconscious things you do. It needs to be one of those. The conscious mind needs to just forget about it. So the conscious mind needs to have nothing to do with it and just let it happen. So if I was to hold this like this, I'm not thinking about it. I just think about my question, repeat it a few times in my mind and don't think about it. Now you might be thinking, okay, her arm is moving. Now, whether my arm is moving or not, I'm not thinking about moving my arm, but my subconscious may well be moving my arm. I don't think it's likely to very often be creation itself or a spirit guide sitting there poking it. It's not going to be something like that. Your arm may well be slightly moving, a tiny amount to start the swing, but you're not consciously giving it that command. It's the subconscious that's doing it in response to your question. Now, you know I said about the subconscious mind knowing things and having memories and ideas that we don't always consciously access. It can be hard to access what's in the subconscious mind. And I firmly believe the subconscious mind is a bridge to your soul, if not the soul. It has great connection with your true self. So my subconscious mind will be producing tiny little movements in the muscles in my arm in order to make it go a certain way, but I'm not consciously thinking about it. And this is what gives the process real validity, because we know the subconscious mind does a lot for us without even thinking about it, i.e. it's keeping my heart beating right now, and we know the conscious mind can interfere with a lot. If you start thinking too much about driving and start thinking about the pedals you're pushing and stuff, you start to perhaps mess up. There's some things that if you think about too hard, you don't do them so well. If you're a really good football player, for example, if you think about it too much and don't just do it intuitively, you can play worse than if you just let it happen. The subconscious mind, just let things flow. It's like when I'm speaking, I don't consciously think about what I'm speaking. I just open my mouth and it comes out. I used to speak quite poorly when I consciously thought about everything I said and worried about everything I said and judged myself. If I just open my mouth and basically say to my subconscious, go ahead and rattle a bunch of stuff off, it just does. Now it's the same with the pendulum. You just consciously give the subconscious a command to communicate with you via the pendulum, and it just does it, and don't interfere too much with your conscious mind. But enough about that. So, as I said, it takes a little bit of time for the subconscious mind to get used to it. So don't just pick up the pendulum, have a few goes and go, oh, it doesn't work, okay? So for a first time user of the pendulum, you need to figure out what's yes and no or don't know. So we're asking closed questions here at first. Shortly I'll give you methods for asking more open questions, or even the pendulum giving you ideas. But this is answers to yes or no questions here. So you need to figure out what's going to be yes. Now, yes can be left and right, and no can be backwards and forwards. Or yes can be spinning in one direction clockwise, and no can be spinning in the reverse direction anti-clockwise. And so you decide what's right for you. So I'll say, show me yes, left and right for me is yes. And I'll say, show me no, and if it's no, backwards and forwards should be no. And that's what, there we go, it's just starting now. Backwards and forwards is no for me. But no for you might be going around in a circle, and yes might be the other way. So you just need to figure that out for yourself and make that firm decision. And once you've made that firm decision, you need to say to subconscious, yes is left and right, no is backwards and forwards. That's what it is for me, that's what it's always going to be. Now there's also like, I don't know. So if the subconscious needs more information, or it's just sort of neutral about it, it might go diagonally. So it might go diagonally like that. So not left and right, not forwards and backwards, but it'll go sort of diagonal, spin a bit. It'll just be the other thing that's not yes or no. Or if you're going around in circles, if yes is that way, no is that way, don't know might be just backwards or forwards, or staying still. You can decide that and then confirm it with your subconscious that that's the way it's always going to be. So you can write down the answers that you get and start with some really simple questions like, is it raining today? Did I have salad for lunch? Just to get it going. So I might ask, is it raining today? So if I just steady it there, so you just centre it and steady it there. So now I'm not paying any attention at all to what it's doing. I'm not consciously doing anything. My arm probably is moving a little bit, but I'm not paying attention to how it's moving. So I'm just talking to you now, not paying any attention and looking at this thing, and it seems to be going backwards and forwards. So though it's not raining today, which I think is true, it is not raining today. So that was just a little one. I think because I'm talking to you now, it's not swinging, but usually I get a good swing on that, more like that. But at first, that's the thing that happens when you first start using the pendulum. You'll get little swings on it, little swings. And remember not to sit there and consciously think, how's it swinging? What's my arm doing? Ask the question, keep it in your mind and see how you go. So you can use it a few times a day if you want to, just to add an extra dimension to your decision making. You can get in touch with your subconscious mind and just get that extra bit of confirmation or ideas. So for example, should I go on holiday in this place, yes or no? Or should I go on holiday in this place? It's good to be a bit more specific actually in those instances. So would I have more fun if I went on holiday on vacation to this place? Or would I have more fun if I went on vacation to this place? Is my partner unhappy at the moment because of this, yes or no? Is my partner unhappy at the moment because of this, yes or no? Until you find the answer. Okay, so when we start getting a bit fed up of yes or no answers and we want to get something more, another method you could use is pendulum charts, where you write out various answers to questions in the form of a chart, which you hold the pendulum over, and then the pendulum can swing in a certain direction over the certain answer that may be applicable to you. So here's some examples of some pendulum charts. So if you go to crystallinks.com, they've got some really good pendulum charts there. So I definitely recommend you head there. And here's one about questions about my fate. So you would hold the pendulum over the starting point there and then try to zone out a little bit. After you've asked your question, just hold that in your mind, but don't consciously think about which way the pendulum's going to swing. Because remember, it's being a subconscious function here. So if we have a question about what's happening to you in the future or what is applicable to your fate, and it starts to swing towards love, you know that you might have something to do with love coming up, or a question about love, or friction. You could ask a question about relationships. It might swing towards love, it might swing towards friction, it might swing towards friendship, and that might give you some idea there about what kind of relationship you're going in for, perhaps. Or you could ask a question about money. The pendulum might have indicated that you're going to come into some money soon. And by doing this method, you might be able to see how. So would it be through promotion or inheritance, perhaps? You could get those answers that way. Now, here we're seeing that it's kind of predicting the future here, and I always exercise caution when predicting the future, because the further away you go in time, the lower the probability it is of a future manifesting. So with the subconscious mind, personally I find it's best to ask questions that are more present related. And yes, the subconscious mind is the bridge to the soul, and it does transcend time and space, so you can ask some questions in the future, but again, as I say, exercise caution with going too far into the future, because the probability of predictions decreases. So here's another one from crystallinks.com. What stands in the way of happiness in my life? So you could ask that question. It might come up with education, and then you might have to consider getting more education. Maybe your education isn't sufficient for what you're trying to achieve, or you're in the wrong line of work there. Or you might come up with profession. Is there something about my work that is making me unhappy? Do I need to question that? And the subconscious mind, as I say, it always wants to heal itself. So it's a good way of pointing you in the right direction towards healing. If there's something that's going on, like in your work, that's making you very unhappy, it's a good way for the subconscious mind to really overtly reveal itself and get you thinking about your profession and how it's making you unhappy. Or what's getting in the way of my happiness? Sense of self-value. Okay, so that's another one that could point towards sense of self-value. And your question, do I have to do some inner work here to try and make myself happier? Do I undervalue myself? Do I have poor self-image or what have you? And what is causing that? Now you can also create your own pendulum charts by getting a blank chart, drawing it out and then laminating it. And then you can get one of those rub-off whiteboard marker pens and you can write on your own choices there. Make sure you do a variation of choices when you do it. So don't go and make yourself a pendulum chart that's very narrow because you want it to come out with a certain answer that you want it to say. Give a good variation, and then in that way you can create your own chart that's applicable to you in this current point in your lifetime, and then rub it out and change the chart. Or you can download a blank chart from the internet, print it out and then fill it in and keep a bunch of charts for yourself. So again, how to use these pendulum charts is you hold the pendulum over the starting point and it will swing towards the quadrant that is applicable. And it may swing a bit randomly at first, it may swing around a bit, it may take a little bit of time to settle on the appropriate quadrant. And once it does start swinging lengthways up and down the certain quadrant on the chart, then you know that's the one that it has chosen. So that has been all about the pendulum for you, how it is in fact a valid way of communicating with the subconscious mind. If you intend to communicate with spirit guides and what have you using the pendulum, set that as your intention. Again, don't put too much thought into it, let the subconscious mind control the pendulum, and then any spirit guides, or you may want to communicate with higher self or even angels if you really wanted to, whatever you choose, that they will communicate through your subconscious mind. Okay, so you can use it as a form of divination as well as simply communicating better with the self. So don't forget to click subscribe if you're not already a subscriber to receive regular spiritual inspiration on your journey through life. Like and share also because we're raising the mass vibration together. So go now in love and peace.